Well, Rob, end of basically a month and a half of work. Spring practice culminates in the spring game. Let's start off there. What do you think of your team's work over this period?
Yeah, it's always great to be here in the spring. It's the longest training period that we have with them. 15 practices. Actually, with the Easter break, we're close to 40 days. So great to get some really solid work in, get a lot of our younger players, especially on defense, a lot of action. So really good to culminate tonight in a little bit of a live spring scrimmage, and looking forward to the guys getting through exams and getting back to summer prep for the season.
And I know that when we talk about college football, the idea of the spring game has changed for some teams. They approach it differently. How did you look to approach this game tonight, like maybe balancing getting looks, but also keeping everybody healthy?
Yeah, it's always that thing, right? So you're balancing it out. I'm sitting here with my play count saying, all right, we're good and we can get out of here. And, to play the schedule we have and be really competitive, you have to be a physical football team, show that you can run the ball and tackle and do all those things. So, I think the coaches did a great job of preparing these guys through practice, especially this week. We put it together like a game week. So was proud of the way the guys, waited until tonight to play post classes and really came out with a lot of energy today on Cooper.
Well, obviously, a lot of focus going to be on Danny Lauder. It feels like, as far as he can take it, that's where you're going to go. What did you see from Danny this spring in his really second year as the Hoya starter?
Yeah, Danny's doing a great job. He's got all the physical talents and can make all the throws. And I think his biggest progression this spring with Coach Spence and especially with Coach McDaniels was the mental part of the game. I think he really understands what we're trying to do conceptually, and that's a great room with a lot of competition.
Rob, it seems like we see this all the time. Not only we see players in the transfer portal, we see coaches moving around. You got some new coaches. Tell me about them.
Yeah, there were some great new coaches on defense, some guys with experience at the highest level. We brought in Coin Dang from Oregon State, brought in Cam Spence, who played at Maryland, is a local product from St. John's, and was most recently down at North Carolina, and then brought in Kyle Perkey, who's been a coordinator working on the back end. So I give Coach Doherty a ton of credit for bringing these guys in and teaching them what we're doing here defensively, and they've been incredible fits with our players. We're looking to bring in great people, really good teachers, and the football stuff really takes care of itself, and I really think that we've enhanced our staff adding those guys to it.
And when you talk about you and Coach Doherty and Coach Spence, having that group over top to bring folks into it is a little easier because you guys kind of have a way that you go about things here.
Yeah, you have two of the best guys in the country. I was lucky when I was a young coach to be mentored by both of them. I met them both in my first year all the way back in 1994, 95. So, they can coach every position on either side, and that's a huge comfort. It allows me to run the program and really work on developing the culture and making sure we have the right people here.
Rob, you mentioned your schedule. Obviously, it's tough. Richmond coming into the league. You also have a fun game at the end of the year. Maybe the opponent's not fun, but the venue is. Tell us a bit about how the matchup with Holy Cross at Fenway came about.
Yeah, I would say this to you, it's the perfect opponent. Our rivalries with Columbia, Fordham, and Holy Cross are great ones. They're ones that go back to the beginning of us getting into the Patriot League, making the move from the MAC and doing those things. So that rivalry is great, being able to play up in Fenway in one of the most iconic parks in the country, in the shadow of the Green Monster, especially with our Northeast contingency, is going to be a great event as the last regular season game.
Last one for you, Rob. I know you coaches at nighttime. Sometimes it's the male. You have great kids, but they're young kids. What is the message when you send these kids off for some time away from you, and then bring them back in August? What do you try to send them off on message-wise before you let them go for exams and then their summer?
Yeah, it's the 4 for 40 deal. We have everything. We'll have kids that'll be here all summer doing internships in D.C., taking classes. We have probably 12 kids that are doing the New York Wall Street internship. So for us, I think the community that we build throughout the year really gets stronger when the people go away, and we have a mix of having people here, internationally, nationally doing internships, and then being able to come back together. So I give our council a lot of credit. I have 14 of our leaders that are helping me run that, and really, get ourselves set up for accountability over the summer to make sure that we're as ready as we can, when the challenge comes up and we report back here at the end of July.